Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin is warning that he may be forced to disclose the names of 60 MPs who have refused to undergo testing for COVID-19. The Speaker has also confirmed that some members of Parliament have tested positive for COVID-19. Although Mr. Bagbin did not disclose the names of the MPs affected, he admonished members of the House to take the COVID-19 safety protocols seriously and strictly adhere to them. The revelation by the Speaker follows a 3-day health screening exercise organized for the MPs last week. Less than a third of the House participated in the event, forcing the exercise to be extended.
My directive that all members subject themselves to the test has not yet been complied with by over 60 members of Parliament. It is true, as the majority leader has just stated, that we are not all safe. Even in the House, some members are afflicted by COVID-19. You may not know who the person is because of the protocols, issues of confidentiality. We are not disclosed those who are now COVID-19 positive. But we have some of us in that category. The physical distancing protocol, and I saw them immediately move apart. So members should take it serious. The numbers started slowly and it is rising. I don't want to be compelled next week to read out the names of those who haven't complied with the directive. And so this is the last call I want to make on members.
Alban Bagbin is Speaker of Parliament. Now, Dr. Albediako is immunologist and research fellow at the West Africa Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, WACPIP, and has joined us via Zoom with more on this. Doc, many thanks for joining us. First, what danger does 60 MPs refusing to test, pose for the nation's case management?
Thank you, Aisha, for having me. I think those 60 MPs themselves, I don't think it poses a huge risk for the nation's case management, but it certainly poses a challenge for case management in Parliament. But probably more importantly, it sets a bad example, I believe, for the rest of the country. The Ghana Health Service, Ministry of Health, indeed, the President himself, have spent several months talking about the importance of testing, tracing, and treating. And so when tests are available for members of Parliament and they refuse to take the test, then I believe it does not help. It does not set a good example for the citizenry. And also, it obviously presents a problem for Parliament because I believe that the testing process is meant to basically create a sort of a safe bubble within which Parliament can conduct its business. We've seen such methods used everywhere from sporting leagues in some parts of the world to governments and other businesses. And so I think the idea is if everybody in Parliament has been tested and knows their status, then you minimize the likelihood of an outbreak within Parliament, which could derail Parliament performing its duties. So I think it's a serious issue that 60 members of Parliament are refusing to get tested. I think it presents a challenge for Parliament to conduct its business properly, but also probably even more importantly, sets a really bad example for citizenry.
Doc, ethically, can the Speaker of Parliament disclose the names of MPs who have refused to undertake the COVID-19 test, considering the fact that those who are refusing puts those who have put their lives in danger?
I believe I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an ethicist, so I wouldn't be able to comment on the legal right that the Speaker has. Obviously, there are statutes, there are laws, there are rules that govern the business of Parliament and empower the Speaker with certain powers. So it would be up to the constitutional experts and lawyers to decide what those powers are and how far they extend. Like I said before, you would hope that given everything we know about this virus and the pandemic that is going on, that you wouldn't actually need to force people to take the test. I don't think it's necessary to disclose the names. I think it's helpful if individuals choose to disclose the names to eliminate stigma surrounding this virus. But certainly my issue is rather with the 60 MPs who refused to get tested. Obviously, those who were tested and were found positive, I'm sure have been advised to follow certain protocols to protect themselves, to protect their families, and to protect their colleagues in Parliament. So my issue rather is with the 60. I would suspect that perhaps the Speaker may have certain powers to bar members, perhaps who refuse to take a test, but that will depend on the rules that are set out to govern how how Parliament conducts business during this time of
But Doc, considering how this new variant, the rate at which it's spreading, how would you recommend that Parliament crosses this bridge?
Well, I think Parliament, like any other sort of institution in this country and indeed in the world, is going to have to think very carefully about putting in place measures to minimize the likelihood of an outbreak. If you had 20% of parliamentarians suddenly testing positive and not being able to report for duty, that affects the ability of Parliament to conduct business. So I believe regular testing, the Ghana Health Service has announced that antigen testing, FDA has approved 2 antigen tests. Obviously, Parliament probably can afford to even do PCR on a regular basis. I would suggest that there should be a regular testing regime. We see this in many parts of the world where every 2, sometimes even as much as every week, samples are taken from individuals, and really is to create, like I said before, basically a safe bubble. So if everybody is tested every week and those who are positive are isolated and kept away from the rest, you can pretty much conduct business over a long period of time without having serious outbreaks. And this is even more important now that we have a much more transmissible variant in the country. So I think, it would be important, and I would assume that these decisions have already been made, to have regular testing procedures for parliamentarians, as you probably would find in a number of other institutions where you have people working in close proximity to one another.
Doc, before I let you go, let me ask you this. Have you concluded your research on the new variants? What have you found?
Well, our research really never concludes, but what we have found so far, as has been shared over the last couple of days, is that we have a significant sort of outbreak of the quote-unquote UK variant in Ghana. We found it at the airport, and we have confirmed that it is in the community. In fact, dating back, I think, as far as December. We are still looking further back to see if we can identify when it first appeared in Ghana, but there is evidence to show that it has been here as far back as early December. And this suggests that it is likely responsible for the surge that we have seen. And it is rapidly replacing the quote-unquote original variant that was here. So many more of the cases that we are testing now are turning out to be one of these variants.
The SARS-CoV-2 variants.
There is also the risk, of course, of the South African variant and the Brazilian variant that are also circulating around the world.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Yaw-Bediako is immunologist and research fellow at WAPBIP, and he was speaking about things we need to do about these new variants.